Fire Emblem. Engage.
Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining me once again on this Fire Emblem Engage Pacifist playthrough. Chapter 3 is here, in all its, glory.
I can fight.
This chapter is difficult to play in a consistent manner. We can control enemy movement pretty well, but almost every round of combat carries a small chance to miss or crit. The reason this matters is that we want to walk out of here with a mostly predictable amount of experience under Alear's belt.
I am your weapon.
The battle plan I have devised here has a tolerance for a certain amount of bad luck, but it still took a lot of tries to get a good recording.
Okay.
This early crit is within that tolerance. We could lower Alear's crit rate by 5 if Vander weren't adjacent, but that would make the Northern Swordfighter's movement variable. On turn 2, we are joined by a crew of fitness trainers. They all have some decent utility early on, but none of them can keep up long term. Clan was able to lure this Swordfighter on turn 1, so now he sets up the kill for Alear. As you've probably noticed, we are continuing to feed her kills whenever we can. We have to kill all of the enemies to win, and Alear is the only unit on the field who makes good use of the experience. She wants to promote by Chapter 11, which is a goal that also appears in low turn count runs. We skipped over the break mechanic in Chapter 2, so let's talk about it here. Like the game teaches, it's a useful tool for preventing counterattacks. However, what the game doesn't outright tell you is that most enemies really like to break. They like it so much that they'll often prefer it over maximizing damage. There are lots of lance flyers on this map, so we can exploit their AI to direct combat towards Alear and away from squishy units like Fram and Anti-A. The crit on turn 1 enemy phase ends up making this one require fewer dodges. Boucheron lends a hand by controlling the movement of these two enemies. He'll be doing that kind of thing a lot. That was a pretty lucky enemy phase. Without the early crit, the usual goal is to dodge one of the first 2 hits and let Fram block the other, so that Alear at least kills the flyer weakened by Vander.
This is nothing.
In this case, Alear dodged twice, and got to finish off the second flyer herself. If she had been broken, Alfred would have needed to chip that enemy. We have Etier take out the flyer with the javelin before she becomes a hassle. The remaining flyers can be lured by Alear. We expect Fram to have taken damage from chain guarding for Alear at this point, but we want her to be able to do so again later. Healing herself on this turn makes that possible. We're not relying on Alear to dodge this turn, but it's nice if she does. Since we didn't dodge, Alear requires help to kill the flyer above her. Vander's attack risks a 5% crit, but such is life.
Our foes
Afterward,
are strong.
Clan can move into position to give Alear perfect accuracy on her next swing. Since Fram is at full HP, she can chain guard for Alear again to ensure that she gets to counter and kill the other flyer this turn. As a side note, her personal ability has been giving Alear 10 extra avoid while they've been adjacent. The fitness gang moves closer to the northern enemy group. They all start moving on turn 6, so we've been preparing to intercept before any of their movements have a chance to randomize. Having dealt with the first group of enemies, Alear now tops off her engage meter. Fram is right behind, healing some HP and closing in on level 2. We don't plan on doing any combat this turn, so I can talk more about why feeding experience to Alear is worth foregoing a more reliable strategy. See, we don't just want to promote Alear into an advanced class by Chapter 11. Alear is the only unit on this map with an emblem ring, and is therefore the only unit that gains skill points, or SP. Every point of EXP is also worth 1 SP, or half of 1 SP if the unit has a bond ring. By earning 1000 SP, Alear can eventually learn the Canter skill, which will be critical in the mid-game. On turn 6, a series of precise movements will guarantee a predictable set of actions from the enemy. Vander unequips his weapon to avoid activating the break neurons in the mind of the top left swordfighter. Alear and Fram both consume vulneraries to help Alear's longevity. On the right side, the lower of the 2 lance flyers will move first. Boucheron has less defense than Alfred, so he is the preferred target. Once the first flyer moves to his north, the other one only has one space to attack Alfred from. This sword fighter could deal 6 damage instead of 5 by doubling Alfred. However, the next enemy to move is the other swordsman, so he decides to set up a chain attack for his brother-in-arms. Chain attacks haven't been allowed until this chapter, but triggering them is another behavior that the enemies often prefer over maximizing expected damage. Alear can now kill a lance flyer from a space that also blocks off the boss. Her name is Abime? Abime? I'm not really sure, it's never pronounced in-game. Etier deals with the other flyer. Alear is on pace as far as EXP is concerned, so I choose the reliable option here. Alear healed herself a lot with Marth's Divine Speed last turn. We want her to survive all 4 remaining enemies, so Fram applies yet another Chain Guard. Combining that with an impending defense level up will guarantee that Alear lives, even if every attack hits her.
I... You're not just any soldiers, are...
Critting the boss deprives our star player of a tiny amount of EXP. This is well within our tolerance, so all I need to do is play as if Abime were still alive. This means Alear spends her turn waiting to simulate an attack with the rapier, which is the only weapon that allows her to deal damage through heavy armor. The movements of our other units don't change much. Frame is the archer's preferred target, and there's only one spot to attack her from. Before we leave, Frame has one more bit of healing she wants to provide. This will earn her a level, and with it, a point of speed. Finally, Alear claims the last kill of the map, a 1-round KO against this archer. Combat experience will be in short supply for her from here on out. We conclude Chapter 3 with 680 SP, good progress toward level 6, and a total of 14 kills. Join me next time to see how we trim the fat in Chapter 4. Take care, everyone. Oh.